I'm back again. Apologies for that. I was stretching while I turned on the camera, people. But we're back again. It's another edition of the Deluded podcast. Thank you for watching, however you're watching or actually listening to this, because I've experimented and put it on YouTube. Won't do that forever, but I thought, why not? Now, obviously seasonal greetings as Christmas is fast upon us, but there's been a lot, not really anything to speak about in relation to any real major talking points with football in general. But yeah, there's still stuff to speak about. We'll speak in relation to the Premier League games. But before all of that, elephant in the room, MIKEL ARTETA is obviously Arsenal's new manager. He signed a very decent contract, for a number of years there. And I'm personally pleased with the appointment. Don't get me wrong. There is obviously the one question mark is experience. But listen, I believe we're at the point with this club at the moment, what we're seeing. It doesn't matter if it's an experienced man or someone that's done the Nagelsmann or the Pep route or Arteta's route, where they've kind of gone through academy coaches and gone up to the first team. I think anybody would struggle. I praise Arteta for coming first and foremost, because if you just look at it as a career move, some could say it could be damaging, it could be elite, depending on how it goes, because he's gone from a good position at City. Obviously, money's irrelevant in this scenario, but he's earning a good salary, learning from Pep, managing some world-class players, definitely of better caliber at Arsenal, and also from a coaching perspective. It does always the better players is not always easily coachable, but when you're working with better players, or more sensible players, it can be very easy to transmit what you and the coaching staff want to do. Arsenal, there's a massive gulf in class in mentality, and just you lot know the whole footballing landscape of the two clubs is completely different. He's come to Arsenal where there's question marks over anyone being backed by the board, players wanting away, just fractured and in complete disarray. So it could go well for him if he turns it around. It could go poor. It could go well for him, obviously, because he has, regardless of experience, he has his own way he wants to do things. But it could go the other way. He could clearly be out of his depth. Now, I really, really hope the board back him. I'm going to listen to the press conference again, people, because I'm gassed. I can't lie. Arteta said some very good things. Bearing in mind, Emre did talk really good as well. But I'm confident, people. But I hope he's backed, because at this moment, you have to back him. For as much as Emre got things wrong, and at Arsenal, you can't just say it's just the board, it's just the manager, it's just the players. You lot know that already. It's a cocktail of bits and pieces. For as much as Emre did wrong, I do think he had to, or in hindsight, when you saw a lot of reports coming about, he's asking for chalk and they're coming with cheese and they're doing mad stuff, so he wasn't backed. If you're going to give Arteta this role, especially considering for all his ideas, his lack of experience, you need to back him in the transfer market. That doesn't mean spending 300 million, which I'd love us to do, and get some centre-halves. But that means getting significant, quality, competent individuals. For me, it would be the spine, centre mid and defence. Do you get it, people? Give him quality players to coach with. Obviously, coaching is a big part of this role. He needs to somehow get this team playing well, but you need to help him. You need to surround him by the most innovative coaching staff, most experienced, or the best fit for him. Because if there's no point of appointing Arteta and then giving him 5 and giving him a little bit here and a little bit there and 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You have to back him all the way. Even with players he wants to sell and leave. Don't get me wrong, if he did something mad, like say, I don't want to use Leno, I want to use Matt Macy, obviously he's moving mad, we'd have to stop him in that. But we need to back him. Now, I don't want to make this about Ozil, yeah, but I do honestly believe Ozil needs to be moved on. As much as I like him as a footballer, he needs to be moved on. He's clearly not with what we're trying to do. But I'm seeing in Sky Sports, when they're saying, you know when they say like 5 things the new manager has to do, they're saying Mesut Ozil. Now, I'm sure I speak for everybody. You can say what you want about Mesut Ozil, but there's many problems wrong with how we play and off the field way before you consider Mesut Ozil specifically. I'm not saying he doesn't need to be moved on. I just don't find that in good taste. Arteta's actually spoke about Mesut, and I've got the quotes on my phone. I've took a couple quotes I felt were necessary, but I hope the board mess with him. For me, I'm happy with Arteta. We're going to get on to what he said, but I'm happy, people. Whether he's able to, because like I said, Emre was speaking all of this stuff, but whether he's able to transmit that, it is what it is. But I'm excited, man. He strikes me as someone that competent enough first and foremost to realise we need to change our whole outlook in defence from front to back, but also wants to get us with the values of what Arsenal's been. He's been a former player, not that it's exactly relevant, but he knows what this team and this club was previously about. We're not going to get there overnight. This is going to be a massive task, people, but everybody needs to pull in the same direction if we're going to move there. For me, I would actually say to the board as well, and the players and everyone, regardless of what I or you lot have said or what they've said about each other, our season starts now, in the sense of, beyond the mathematics, top 4 in Europa League for me are gone. We're not going to do no real bits in either. I hope to be wrong, of course, but I don't feel it's going to happen, because right now, how can I have any confidence? It's not going to happen overnight. We're going to get to a point where sometimes we might even be saying, oh, what is Arteta doing with this team? Sometimes people, and they're probably working hard in training. It's about going through these moments. Make no mistake, this is going to be a very tough task, people. I'm fully behind Arteta because I back the new manager. Constructive criticism where fit and praise where fit, but I back him. But it's with disappointment. I'm not even looking at, obviously Arteta has to, be up to task, but I'm looking at the mentality from the board, and I'm looking at these players. For these players, I know we've got Everton, and I want to save talking about Everton for later, people, but you want to see a bit of a reaction, because certain players that might have been first names on the team sheet under Emre might not be the case under Arteta, and vice versa. Some man that ain't got a chance might get a chance. Whether you're young or experienced, you should be relishing playing under Arteta and things like that. But I'm not even, with disappointment, people, for me, Arteta can only take this thing so far if he is going to be a success. I need to see the board, like I said, back him. I need to see these players turning it around. I've given up with all of these players, admittedly, whether they're the quality players or the players that wouldn't get into League One sides. But for me, I'm prepared to, right wrongs, buy into what Arteta is, fight into what he wants. I really hope Arteta is able to transmit the need to really crave winning, the finer margins, the inches that goes into winning. Not necessarily the Hollywood things as well. How you handle yourself day to day, how you apply yourself in everything, from the way you sleep, all of these things. I'm not saying these players aren't professional in what they do, but I don't feel they crave it like that. And obviously, them City players there crave winning trophies, crave being in the best physical condition and whatnot. So the season starts now. They need to buy into what he wants to do, and we need to weed out whatever players are not on this thing. They need to get out of this club right now. If you don't want to be here, whether you don't believe we can win trophies, contract staff, on-field staff, you don't feel Arteta's the guy, keep it moving. We need to, whatever players want to be here and got some sort of promise, that's what we need to do, because it's gonna be a tough transition. I was really impressed with Arteta and what he had to say in his charismatic approach in the press conference. I'd implore you all to listen to what he said as well. But he can only take this thing so far. There is going to be teething problems. I don't want people, don't make this, again, I'm not trying to be a downer, but don't make the same mistake of when Wenger left, we're so gassed that a new manager, that when we're winning them games and going on them 22 unbeaten run under Emre, in hindsight, that was probably one of the worst things that could have happened to Arsenal, but people were shutting up about the bad things. If we go on a winning run, do not get gassed. If we go on a losing run under Arteta and there's still teething problems, of course it's disheartening, but stick with it, provided we are seeing things. I believe in Arteta purely because he strikes me as someone that has a clear philosophy, and that's one thing I've been banging on before the man's even spoken in the press conference. Clear philosophy. If you have a clear philosophy and a clear way of doing things, obviously in other games where it required you tweak things, but you have some sort of choice. Now, as much as I like Emre as a man, because he handled himself in a truly gentleman way, one problem of his is he never really got conviction in what was his one central idea as a football coach of Arsenal Football Club. Arteta seems to have that. He wants to play forward-thinking football players. He didn't say protagonist like a certain other manager, but be brave. Be accountable for yourself. Fight for yourselves. Don't be fearful to let your teammates down, because I feel that's what these players are missing. Obviously, grassroots is nowhere near playing for Arsenal, but when I was playing for my grassroots teams, I genuinely feared letting down my centre-halves. My centre-halves feared letting down fullbacks and midfielders, and vice versa, and had pride in their performance. I don't get that over Arsenal. And the only way we're going to get that is if players forget about what's happened to a degree now, but still learn from their mistakes, buy into what he is, truthfully look yourself in the mirror and say, have I been applying myself previously? If not, make sure you work 10 times harder. Whether you want to be at this club or not, it's your prerogative to play better, because if you don't want to be here, you play better, you get your moves. We are only going to better this season and have people off your backs if you turn this around. And like you've seen, the players, it should be a us against the world thing. If you're a player and you're feeling the fans are getting onto you, the other players should kind of protect you. We need to get back to that. We need to get back to these sort of things, people. We need to get back, first and foremost, having pride in ourselves. Second and foremost, the shirts. And then, obviously, naturally, the competencies which have been lacking. Clean sheets, defending, basic tenacity and energy, starting games in a good approach. We have lacked all of this, people. And it's not going to happen overnight. Provided, for me, all Arteta can do for this season at least, I'd love us to get top 4 and, you know, he comes in, he does this, you know, young Pep Guardiola, the protege thing, and we start, you know, gassing it up and stuff. I'd love that, but realistically, this team is a long way away from saying they can win 5 football matches in a row, let alone, you know, the stuff we want to do. This season at least, all I think he can salvage is putting his mark on the team, getting to us to a point where I can say, like people trying to say, well, when Holding and Tierney and them and there come back, we're playing in a way that we can say a better centre half immediately improves this team. What I mean by that is, obviously we know that, but there needs to be a competent approach to how we defend. There's not a defensive system in this team. I want him to get a defensive system, help us press from the front, make these midfielders a bit more switched on in all aspects. And then it can, to a point where we look at it and say, okay, Arteta's done all he can without reinforcements because these players are these players. Do you get it, people? All I think he can do is restore confidence to the players, fans, get everybody on the same side. Mark is sort of what he wants to do as he means to go on. He is obviously going to get things right. He's going to get things wrong. That's why the board need to back him and he needs to be surrounded by people. Arteta's been preparing for this moment his whole, I'm going to exaggerate a bit, but his whole life, for a substantial period of time. He's been a manager and a coach in all but name, and obviously he's gone and got positions and whatnot in the game. So his lack of experience is obviously a problem, but when you've been preparing for it, it's different. It's like, I don't know, I look at myself, like, you don't know me, I have scouting ambitions and coaching ambitions and things, and I've got the qualifications and whatnot, but it's like, you don't know I know ball, and some people in the industry now know I know ball because I speak to them, but it's like, well, I'm shaking my drink, but it's like, to the unknown eye or to that club, it's like, yeah, okay, like, what is it? So, do you get it, people? You need someone to take a chance on you. I know people would say Arsenal can't afford to be taking chances, and you wouldn't be wrong, but it is what it is. We all need to just pull together. All that can happen is confidence restored, some sort of galvanisation and clear philosophy, and yeah, man, just damage limitation this season. There's not much you can do. Next season, obviously, I'd like to say top 4 race, but we need to see the health of this side because, again, in tandem with appointing Arteta, people, needs to be, okay, cool, we're in December now, let's go and chat to this agent of that centre mid, that centre half, we need this, we need that. Give Arteta the platform. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it was Emery or Arteta. You can't half mess with guys. You need to give guys your all. And people spoke well. People have spoken well. But it's going to take time for this club to get back. We're going to go through highs. We're going to go through lows. Arteta coming in things aren't going to change overnight. Things are only going to change through hours and hours on that training field. Really buying into not just what you're doing in training, tactically, having pride in your own performances. Because these players, they should be bugging Arteta. Oh, can I have some videos and stuff? I don't feel like I can defend. Last season, these players very quickly said, oh, Emery's put us, we're able to do this, we're able to do that, and then he's gone. Any players that are not on it need to be moved, because one thing I don't like, again, regardless of if you believed in Emery or Lombard, is players using the manager's question mark as an excuse. There are some pretenders, there are some damn right hiders within that Arsenal team, and it is quite upsetting. And listen, I'm fully behind Arteta because we need some sort of unity at this football club, and better yet, as a football club, people. So we need to. I need a juice. I might as well speak about some of the... That needs to stop making noise, but I might as well speak about some of the things that I come across that were of relevance to myself, people. There are some things that have to have a blueprint. We have to have passion. We have to be dominant. We have to be aggressive. We have to play in the opponent's territory as much as we want. I want the ball. I want to attack them as much as possible. I want to prevent them from attacking me as much as possible. But as well, I think we have to create the right culture around the club that's going to make good living out of the players. Create an environment where everybody respects each other, a humility, and people have to be accountable for what we want to achieve. That's the basics. And then after we can grow from there, then we can create an identity that I have in my head for this football club. But we have to start somewhere to try build that up. Here we go. the fans have been watching very... Oh, yeah, sorry, people. I thought this was like an interview thing, but it says the fans have been watching very, very closely. Of course, they've been frustrated for some time now. What's your message to them? Well, it is, yeah, so it weren't his. We need them so much. I was on the bench the other day and I felt bad when you see the disappointment and the faces in the crowd. He's obviously speaking, people, in relation to Arsenal's 3-0 defeat to Manchester City. I understand. We have to be the ones who are able to transmit that our idea is reaching to them and to engage them because we need them. We have to connect those powerful cables together to become what this club deserves to become. Without them, we cannot do it because at the end of the day, we play football for the fans and they make a lot of sacrifice to be able to watch us and they suffer. We have to understand it's our responsibility, so we have to engage them. They give us a little bit and then we give them more, and then it will be a consequence of one or the other, but we need them big time. It's crazy, people. You see, he's saying everything, he's articulating everything what the man want to hear, but in that real way, man. Like, he's moving like an Arsenal manager, like his suit is fitting him, and if it doesn't work well, at least he's going to come with the Stone Island and all that, you know, all that suave stuff that him and all the suave gear that him and Pep Guardiola had. We need style back at the carpet, we need the values back at the carpet. I even miss the days when Arsenal, you know, we would do 20 passes, score 2 goals, and then it would all go down the toilet. We ain't even doing them things there again. I wonder if Arteta's actually considering playing himself defensive mid as well, people. That just come to my head. But yeah, I believe at 37 he is the youngest Arsenal manager, or he's definitely one of them if he's not. I ain't got no stats to hand. So yeah, people, he as well spoke about how incredible the stadium was and the impression he wants to give to the fans. And again, he kind of carried on where he left off, where I just stopped quoting him, creating fear for the opponents, just galvanising everybody. And all the beautiful values that we've become accustomed to at Arsenal, with Wenger and Bergkamp and all these lovely poetry and motion sort of things. Ironically, sadly, I have to mention, when speaking about identity, he said, unfortunately, yes, when he was asked if the identity has slipped. That's my feeling, and it's what I have to recover. We have to make adjustments, and the time for training is not a lot. So we have to be sure the players understand the idea that I want to bring them. Slowly you will see some changes where we want to head on. The direction is going to be very clear, and it's not going to be negotiable. That's what I want to hear. If you're not down for the cause, you need to keep it moving. Do you get it? I will need the players to be on board with the right attitude, with the right passion and commitment. Step by step, we will be improving and reaching to find the right identity for us. And that's everything you want to hear, people. Before I continue with that sort of stuff, I did have some other quotes from him. And he said, well, I already read that. Oh, he spoke about the players. He said, I have to try to convince the players what I want to do, how I want to do it. They have to accept a different process, a different way of thinking. And I want to get the staff and everyone at the club with the same mindset. Do you see why it's as good as Arteta having these ideas, but surround him with similar individuals that can tell him when he's wrong, can provide different perspectives and stuff, but fundamentally we're trying to move in the right direction because we have been divided. And he did kind of talk about, I'm not here to convince these players of my experience, I'm here to convince them of my ideas. That's what I like to hear. Those who want to listen and improve, stay here and listen. You don't want to leave, you don't want to listen, leave. Those that are unable to listen, he said it's non-negotiable, you're going to get clipped. That's what you want to hear from the Arsenal manager. He's managed to capture at least on paper, the poetry and all the lovely stuff Arsenal here, but with a degree of ruthlessness and being around and rubbing shoulders with Pep on a day-to-day basis. You have to see how ruthless you have to be if you want to be that sort of manager. Let's just get back to winning football games before we speak about stuff. And like I said, it's going to be tough. We're going to lose games, we're going to win games, we're going to still go through this uncertainty as we try to move in this direction. But the most important thing, people, is actually moving in such a direction. He's also said, I think I've said it, we have to build a culture that has to sustain the rest. If we don't have the right culture, the tree will shake. My job is to convince everyone this is how we're going to live. If you're going to be part of this organisation, it has to be these terms and this way. Now we need an immediate impact. We need to start winning games, start to raise the level of confidence of the players. And he also spoke already about what I said, people. Finally, we need the fans, we need to engage them and obviously transmit with our behaviour and intention what we want to bring to this club. So again, the need for the fans, but again, the vibe is if you want the fans to get behind you beyond just supporting the club, give them something to get behind. The rest will do it. Liverpool are giving their team something to get behind. They've got quality players. They've got people, whether no disrespect to them, whether it's Milner, Ronaldo to a degree, even though he's good technically, and Henderson, who you describe as the workhorses in them sides. No disrespect, because they're all good. And you've got the Mane and Salah and the creme de la creme players. Everybody fundamentally is busting their arse for the cause. Do you get it? You can't put your trust in a guy who won't risk it all. And everybody needs to be able to risk it in this team. If you won't put your body on the line for the manager and your fellow man, you need to leave, because you're not down for this thing. And it's not going to get better, people. Arteta is saying all of these things. He's also said, I have so much respect for this football club that if I wouldn't feel I am prepared for this, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair. Obviously, he's going to say that. And I'm not going to, well, come on, I got this Arsenal, innit? It was always a dream for me the day I left. I said to the people, I'm going outside, I'm going to learn, get prepared, and hopefully one day come back here when I feel that I'm ready to make that step. It's really just come to me now, people. I'm not going to harp on about it, but beyond the obvious them electing Emery and being kind of scared to a point, Arteta, I want to know specifically kind of what tipped it in Emery's balance in hindsight. Just if there's any possible concerns over Arteta, or just to learn more. He's also said, there's so much to do. I am so excited. I think we have the right team. I've had many conversations with senior people at the club. I feel Josh and Stan Kroenke are on the same path, so I have a good feeling. He also said, I won't convince the players that I have experience. I will convince the players certain things we have to do to bring success. And that's it, people. As long as you're saying the right things and you're doing the right things, actually backing up, not just speaking, then most honest human individuals will buy into you. And those that don't, we need to go, people. Everybody has to be responsible, and I don't want them hiding. I want people who deliver passion and energy. Anyone who doesn't buy into this has a negative effect, isn't good enough for this environment and culture. I will give every drop of blood for this club to make it better. And that's what I want to hear. And also, this is why I want to go and listen to what he said again, people. He also talked about the cognitive, I was moving like I can't read, but cognitive approach to football. That thing there, you know, I don't do this English word thing, I know football. But he said, and it's not exactly rocket science, but it's encouraging to hear an Arsenal manager refer to these things again. Football is about habits and angles. It's much more simple for a player if you can process the image of where your teammate will be before receiving the ball. So what is he talking about? One thing that gives me hope for is he either play Pepe, Aubameyang and Lacazette, or find Martinelli and the players that are playing there now balance, allowing them to understand each other's game and having that cerebral approach. Also being active thinkers. What do I always tell you lot, people? The glamorous defending isn't slide tackles, for example. It's the centre-half who's realised and dropped off or told his midfielder to get deep, engage, and he sweeps up the afters. It's about being switched on in this incident, people. Football is about habits. We've got some extremely bad habits right now. It's about getting some good habits, and we're only going to get that if players put blood, sweat and tears into this training. It's about what they do. It's about the players now, because I believe in Arteta, but it only goes so far. The players have to buy into it. Of course, he has his own question marks, but the players have to buy into it and transmit it, and he needs the approach from the board, people. So obviously, in relation to Arteta, he offered some good segments and sound pieces. Hopefully he is back. Hopefully his centre-half comes in January. But that's what I love to hear from the man's first press conference. That's more charismatic than I got from Emery. Obviously words is nothing, because I don't think Arteta will do it. But at the same time, Emery was saying protagonist, 5-4 and all of these things, only to play in a cowardly way. Arsenal have to go back to having some courage. I'd rather us get battered, but we're trying out there, rather than getting battered and just, you know, it's like getting punched. The way we play, it's like getting punched in the face and just going there, sort of thing. Go out there and fight back. I'd rather us get punched up, but we hold our team, we swinged our fist, rather than just allowing it to happen to us. This defeative attitude, which some of the players are coming with as well, is not on. And these players need to look at themselves as well and question how they're behaving, regardless of their teammates' previous manager. Because you are part of this team, and when you're hearing certain players don't want to be here and things, that's fine. But accountability and performances is everything in football, really and truly.